What about you? You're in LA this week.
I'm in LA this week. It's nice to be around. The most important thing is to be catching up with friends I haven't seen in a while. So
That's
I'm
so
going to,
nice.
I feel like I've got three different groups of people whose main activity is getting together and watching movies. So it's a little like high school again, where like in high school, three different groups of people wanted to go see a movie the same week. And so I ended up going to see Mr. Deeds in the theater
Wow.
three times.
Three
And I hated it the first time. It didn't get better the second two. It's like this movie is a stupid.
It didn't
And I love stupid movies, but that movie was a stupid.
it didn't do a like exponential thing where it like started out bad, bell curved up, and then like got back down to bad. It was just like, no, this is flat.
It
Magic
was
is
not
bad.
it was not greater than the sum of its parts, unfortunately. Brother sibling. But a movie that is
Oh.
perhaps greater than the sum of its part is the movie we're talking about this week. So let me just say, welcome, friends and chosen family, to Brother Sibling Movie, a podcast where two siblings, and that's us, talk about movies we love from our childhood, and some we may be discovering for the first time, centered around a different theme every season. I'm your brother, Evan Kerna.
And I'm your sibling, Mare Morgan.
And this week's movie is This Is Where I Leave You, a 2014 film that really explores one central theme. Families are complicated, man.
Heck yeah, they are.
Bruh.
And this season's theme is siblings. So I think this might be the only movie this season that has like multiple siblings, not just two, but like there's four total
Yeah,
siblings.
I really like this movie,
Me too.
especially when it comes to talking about sibling stuff because of what you said. It's really interesting, and they do a great job um, showing off the different. In my head, I think of it as like power plays or hierarchy, but that's not really what it is in a family. It's just all the different like dynamics that
Yeah.
every person has with each other and how they interplay and how people can be so different in one-on-one relationships with each other versus in the group where they are I don't know, like it just, family. Everybody
Yeah.
has a family. I hope it's a great exploration of all those very complex family
Yeah.
relationships.
That is the thing that I did really like that is very true, I think, of families in general, of like, there's one dynamic that's the whole family. Then there's like a bunch of other little Venn diagram kind of things of like all of the siblings as a group dynamic, but then it's these two siblings as a group dynamic, and then these three siblings as a group dynamic, and then this sibling and that sibling,
Mhm.
and they're partners, and it creates this very intricate web that is very complex and is obviously like each of these characters, they all have very specific relationship dynamics, and they each have a different
Mhm.
relationship with their mom, and they each have a different relationship with their dad, and they each have a different relationship with each other. And so yeah, it's a really cool movie. It makes a lot of sense that this is based off of a book.
It does, yeah. It's I was actually just now because I did a little bit of research on the director before starting, but I didn't think to look up the writer,
Jonathan
classic,
Tropper.
who like Sean Levy has been in the Ryan Reynolds game before, or at least he wrote the Adam Project and Banshee, which I never saw. I'll just see that. But yeah, these are competent movie makers who know how to who I think are good craftspeople and know how to translate something from like a book or a property
Yes.
and turn it into a meaningful movie product,
Yes.
and Sean Levy has some great things to his
Dude.
um,
Sean
credits as well.
Sean Levy, I was looking him up because I was like, "Huh, that name sounds familiar. I wonder who this guy is." And then I was like, "Oh, he's done like all of the movies, like all of them.
Yes, he has
He's
done
just
he's done all the
he's just done
movies.
like every single movie between like 2000 and 2005. 24. He's directed
Yeah.
all.
He's mainly a producer, although he directs. Most recently, he helped produce Deadpool and Wolverine. Also, Free Guy, The
Yep.
Atom Project. Like I said, he's sort of in bed with Ryan Reynolds quite a bit. Produced The Arrival, but before that, was mainly known for comedies. He
Yeah.
directed Night at the Museum. Um, what
Cheaper by the
else was
Dozen, Pink
before? Cheaper
Panther,
by the Dozen. Yeah, The
uh, The
Internship.
Internship.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, Episodes of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He's not a zany comedy director. He's like a grounded comedy director, and he moved up into, move up out of the slums of
Yeah.
comedy into more dramatic
Well, and it
stuff.
seems like
So yeah,
from what I was reading, it seems like a lot of his more like this movie, This Is Where I Leave You, and some of his other more like, family dramedy kind of movies are through his own production company. Um, and
yeah,
then he has contracts with like Netflix and Fox and other
yeah,
other like big studios, but then his production company is kind of where he gets to do these like really more, yeah, like
yeah. Intimate.
intimate kind of family uh portraits.
I think that's a good way to describe them. Yeah, I thought I recognized Sean Levy's name because of it was the other. Wait, no, wait. Dan
Dan
Levy
Levy.
is
Dan Levy
who is not Sean Levy.
Schitt's
They, as
Creek.
far as I know, they are not related. They just have the same last name of Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek fame.
Yes, and Good Grief, which is a fantastic movie on Netflix. Y'all should watch if you feel
Oh,
like it.
check it out.
Yeah.
Um, so, do we want to get into? Let's get into our connections to the movie. I don't think it's gonna. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
Yeah,
What's your
I don't
connection with the movie,
I mean, I
Mayor?
don't have, like, a strong connection to it. I watched it,
Me
for
either.
the first
Yeah,
time a few
I
years
watched it when
ago.
it came out.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like, I think part of the reason that I watched it or that it kind of piqued my interest, um, is I'm a huge I'm fans, I think, of, like, everybody, all the cast that's in this film. Like, good lord, talk about a great cast. Um,
Can we just? I
ugh,
know.
wait,
I
wait, wait,
mean,
wait, wait, but
we should just. Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
do the
I'm gonna
connections. We should run down the friggin'
we're gonna
cast,
run down
man.
the
It's
cast.
crazy.
So, but I will. My Adam, I really, really love Adam Driver. I think he's a very interesting performer and
As
human. And
as much as John Oliver,
I think John Oliver and I love Adam Driver the same amount. If I'm being
like bordering on creepy stalker sexual harassment lawsuit,
yeah,
public defamation.
I don't have a news show with like millions of listeners and watchers every week, so I don't
But you do have this
I do have this
podcast, so
podcast, but I
gush about Adam Driver if you
no,
wish.
I think Adam Driver is just like he's really he's obviously a very good dramatic actor and is in a lot of great dramatic roles. Um
Yeah.
and I think he is very funny. Um
Hmm.
and he has a certain kind of uh gravitas almost that he can bring to comedic roles, but then he also is just like in this movie a total unhinged maniac. There's also a movie called oh god,
Yeah, he's great. I like Adam Driver a lot too.
I like him a
He's
lot.
movie star
There's
material.
a oh my
If only they made movie stars
I
anymore.
know. There's a movie with Daniel Radcliffe and oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. No. Um I'm not gonna remember the name of this movie. I'm sorry. I'm having an old man moment. Um, but it has Adam Driver.
Old man Meredith.
But Adam Driver and Daniel Radcliffe play like best friend roommates, and it is one of the most.
Oh, was it Harry Potter 7?
No, it wasn't Harry Potter 7, you ding dong. Um, but Adam Driver is just like this really funny, unhinged, loose cannon, crazy person character, and it's very funny. And he's also really funny in Logan Lucky. Um,
Oh, yeah, he's great in that.
Yeah, I really enjoy
Shout out
Adam
to the
Driver as
great
a
Steven
performer. He kind of, to
Soderbergh
me, fits in
coming
the same
back.
category of, as, like, a Mark Ruffalo, if you will, where I'm like, "Oh, you're, like, a really good working actor, you have a lot of range, like,
Yeah.
and you just kind of are not interested
Oh
in
my
the,
god.
like, glitz part of this world, right? Like, you just wanna, like, be an actor
Yeah.
and you love doing it, and he does a lot of, like, really incredible, like, outreach work with, folks who are in the armed services, and he's just, like I really enjoy Adam Driver
Yeah,
as a
because
person.
he's a veteran himself, right?
Yes, yes, he was enlisted, for a while, but yeah, I just really enjoy him, and he's another one who I'm like, if he's in a movie, there's a really good chance that I'm gonna watch it, just to be like, "I just
Nice.
love your performances, and I think you're really fun." Um, he's also just, like,
Yeah, no,
built like a
Adam Driver's great. You really have a thing for the tall, lanky Jews.
I do, man, I'm seeing a theme here between Adrian Brody and Adam
Mhm.
Driver. I'm just like, I am hitting
I
on
feel like
something
there's
really
gotta be at
exciting.
least yeah, I feel like there's gotta be at least one more on, that fits a kind of similar description as
I
that, but,
think
we'll figure out who that is.
I think the other one that I would maybe put in that category somewhat, but he's on the shorter side is, Jason Schwartzman. I really love Jason Schwartzman
Totally,
too,
yeah.
like, he's like the short version.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You're just like,
I
yeah,
don't know.
just give me those smarmy Jewish dicks.
I what can I say? What can I say, you know?
That's great stuff. Um, yeah, so Adam Driver, great. Mark Ruffalo, by the way, man, we went to go see Mickey 17 last night, which I didn't know Mark Ruffalo is in,
Oh,
and Mark Ruffalo's the best, man. Robert Pattinson's everyone in that movie is actually really
Mickey
good, but Mark Ruffalo
17.
just yeah, it's the latest Bong Joon-ho movie,
Ooh.
the director of Parasite and Snowpiercer and The Host and
Ooh.
Okja and
Yeah,
Mother and
he's
yada yada yada, on
wonderful.
and
Yeah,
on.
he's a
The
great
best. I
director.
love. He's one of my favorite living filmmakers right now. He's so good. But anyway, my connection to this movie, yeah, I saw it when it came out. I liked it. I was like, but I wasn't deep enough into life, and I was like, that seems really tough on those people. And this time I was like, it's so hard. Being an adult sucks.
I know, 'cause it's
So,
kind of funny, I had the same thing where it was like, it came out in 2014, so I was 24 and you would have been, what, like, 27-ish? So, somewhere around there is the
yeah.
first time we saw it. So, like, I mean, we were, quote, unquote like, we were adults, obviously, at that time. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, being in your mid-30s and watching this, I was like, "Oh god."
Different
Very
experience.
different experience.
It also it also strikes me that Jason Bateman has been 40 years old forever.
I think
Like,
he's I think he's been
when he first came on the scene. Okay, so he first came on the scene,
as a kid, he was
obviously
a
with
child
Teen
actor,
Wolf, which is
yeah.
what his a child actor, and then Teen Wolf 2, and famously, but yeah, Little House on the Prairie, etc. So he's been around a long, long time in the industry. But when he sort of came on the scene as an adult, and really where I first saw him, obviously Arrested
Yeah.
Development, and he must have been in his early to mid 30s when he started that show. But like, to me, just what I mean, his attitude is like perpetually
Yes.
like 40 years old. He's the forever 40-year-old
I
man.
know.
Even now, when he's like pushing 50, whatever
He's
he is, I'm just like,
56.
I will always think of him. And honestly, like, I love his shtick. I don't know, like, I get that people can basically say he plays basically the same
He gives
character,
a
but
shit, he's
like,
good
I
at
don't
it.
know. I really like the shtick, and he's proven that he's good at a lot of other things.
Yeah.
He played that he was in a thriller movie as the bad guy in a dumb Netflix thriller where he was actually really good as like a terrorist. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, Jason Bateman's lovely. I mean, okay, um, do you wanna do the plot synopses, and then we'll just, like, run down the cast list and talk about these, actors'
Yes,
characters?
definitely. Yeah. Yes, I think we should do our plot synopsis, give a quick rundown of the very impressive cast and the characters that they play, and then I think we should just start.
I
breaking down the
just
interesting dynamics of people, because that's
yeah,
really
that's
where
what
the
this
movie
is.
shines. And there's a couple funny moments, but like the relationships really is what make this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into plot synopses by Chat J. Pate,
Jay Paytay.
the large language model ruining our lives.
And
Thank
cinema
you,
in general,
ChatGPT.
so we're just giving it more fodder on a weekly basis, pulling
Yes, at
episode
least it's only
descriptions.
recapping movies for us and not
I
generating
don't yeah.
not generating can you just imagine? I know that this is a not like I know this is a hot take that everybody's giving right now, but like can you imagine like what Miyazaki is thinking as all of these
Oh
AI
boy.
generated Studio Ghibli characters are making their way around?
I think it
Like,
would
have you seen? I'm gonna get into the plot synopsis, I promise. But did you see that interview where some like years ago, where like some people presented him like this basically AI generated animation,
oh
and
no.
and he was like, "I'm interested," and he just, oh my god, he ripped them to shreds. He was like, "I think this is an abomination to humanity. I think you should be ashamed for having created this.
Honest
I hate this, and I hate everything that came out of this, and I think that you aren't artists." And all these
wow.
people who worked so hard on this technology trying to impress like their fucking,
Idol, like, oh my god. I
idol, like multi award winning Japanese renowned beloved filmmaker. You can see just all the color draining out of their face. It's awesome.
wow. I mean, honestly, I think AI generated animation might be what finally causes Hayao Miyazaki to have, like, a heart attack/aneurysm. slash aneurysm. That might be
Actual
an
stroke could be
actual
like, I always knew people weren't shit, but now they've really proven it to me.
yes, I always knew y'all were trash, and I'm gonna have a stroke. Anyway, okay, go. Do
So
the
funny.
synopsis.
Here we go. This Is Where I Leave You is a dramedy directed by Sean Levy, based on the novel by Jonathan Tropper. Was it based on a novel by him?
Yeah, that's what I said, it's based on a book. Yeah. He adapted the
Oh, because he wrote the
screenplay.
screenplay
Yeah, he
too.
adapted the
Well,
screenplay
good
from
for
his book. He
him.
did a really good job too. Hats off. Hats off, Jonathan Tropper.
Cool. I didn't notice
Yeah.
that checking out the IMDb, and I was just like, ChatGPT, are you pulling my leg? Did you get us fact wrong? So,
No.
but you did say that. So,
No.
um, the film follows Judd Altman, Jason Bateman, who, after discovering his wife's infidelity in a pretty intense manner,
Yep.
is further devastated by the death of his father. Even reading it out loud is funny. Returning to his childhood home, he reunites with his dysfunctional family, including his overbearing mother, Jane Fonda, and his three siblings, Tina Fey, Adam Driver, and Corey Stoll. Per their father's final wish, the Altman family must sit Shiva, a Jewish mourning tradition, for 7 days under one roof, forcing them to confront old wounds, unresolved conflicts, and deep seated emotions.
Ooh.
As the week unfolds, secrets are revealed, relationships are tested, and each family member navigates their personal struggles. Through a mix of humor and heartfelt moments, the Altmans come to terms with their past and find unexpected paths of forward. The film explores themes of love, loss, and the complexity of human dynamics, blending comedy and drama to deliver a poignant and relatable story.
And then we're gonna be come back at 1:15 with 7 5s on the sixes. Thanks so much for tuning in to KQED Radio News. That's how you
KSIB, sibling radio for the 21st century newsman. Back to you with the weather, Jan. Jan is the perfect TV news anchor lady name.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a better name than Jan for that.
Well, well, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, we're gonna be seeing some high pressure fronts coming down the west coast here. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna stop doing stupid news anchor voice now.
You know what I do? You know what I do when I need a pick me up? You
But
know what my favorite YouTube compilation is? I love watching local news bloopers. It's some of the best
it's some
stuff
of
out there.
it is
have you
pure
have
comedy
you seen the
gold.
one? Have you seen the one where like the guy he's a little chubby but very nice, like just well put together looking. He's doing a story about an emotional support pig that doesn't have its two back legs called Chris P. Bacon. And he the little pig, it goes to visit children to cheer them up, but it doesn't have it's born without its two back legs, so it's got
No.
wheels on the back of it, so it's just motioning around. His name is Chris P. Bacon, and this guy, the
Oh
newscaster,
my
just
god.
fucking loses
How
it.
can
He's
you
like, I can't do this story. He's cracking up. Like he's just giggling over these images of the kids petting this pig with no back legs. Oh my god, it's so great. He can barely make it through the story. It's so funny. There's a lot of good ones like that. I would highly recommend if you need a good pick me up,
It's
just look at for YouTube compilations of best TV news bloopers.
my
There's some great ones.
some of my favorite news bloopers are people in the Midwest reporting on storms over like
Uh
a
huh.
long period of time because it's literally just like they're in a parka and it's snowing and it's just like you can see the devolution of where like initially they're like, all right, like we're hitting snow and like stay inside and put tire, whatever. And by like the fourth or fifth check-in with them, they're like, what do you want me to say? It's snowing. Like it's really cold. I'd like to be home right now. It's freezing out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to tell everybody else to do the things
Yeah, and,
that
like,
I'm telling
yelling at
them
the cars
not
that
to
pass
do.
by, like, "Get
I'm having to do the
inside!
things that I'm
That's
telling
what
them
I'm out
not to
here to tell
do.
you! Go home!" It's great.
Uh, gotta love the local news. Anyway, this movie again has nothing to do with local news.
Nothing
We
to do
just
with local
like
news.
tangenting. Yeah, okay. We talked already a little bit about our director and our writer, so let's just okay. I'm gonna read off the cast of characters of this movie, and just if you haven't seen this movie, just stand back in awe of the raw star and comedy
The
power on
raw
display
thaw
here.
power.
The raw star
Oh,
power. Where's the raw star
the raw
power?
thaw power.
Come on down to the magic castle. Come on down to no wait, the Magic Castle's a real place. Come on down to the Gothic Castle
The Gothic
for the
castle for the
raw
raw thaw
thaw power.
powers.
Oh man, another great gag from Arrested Development. Take me to the Gothic Castle. The Gothic asshole. Yes, that's what I said. Oh man.
Okay. Oh,
Anyway,
goddamn, I'm crying from laughing already. Okay, we've gotta get
it's
through this. We've gotta get through
the
this.
Gothic asshole. Okay, let's
We
do
have to
this.
get through
Okay, we
this.
got Jason. Okay, we got Jason Bateman, star of stage, screen, big and small. Jason Bateman as Judd. These are all the Altmans. So Judd, Tina Fey, the fucking
Like,
comedy
so,
master
yeah.
of the 21st century. Fucking Tina Fey. Wendy Altman. Jane Fonda. Barbarella. Wait, right? She was Barbarella.
I feel like you
Yes,
must know I
she was.
don't know the answer to that question.
Wait a minute, Barbarella. Barbarella's getting remade with yes, it is definitely Jane Fonda. Okay. I don't know why I had to check that. I knew that, but something in my head was like, no. It was like, yes, yes, Evan, it was
Who
Jane
else would
Fonda.
it have been?
Okay, Jane Fonda. Um um feminist icon, sex kitten, old lady, all in one. She plays the mom, Hillary. Adam Adam Driver as Philip. um, Corey Stoll as Paul, the oldest brother. Oh yeah,
Oh,
we didn't. I wasn't
wait,
saying what these people were.
let's go down in birth order. So Paul, played by Corey Stoll,
Hmm.
oldest sibling,
There you
oldest
go.
brother,
Yes.
followed by
Yeah.
Wendy, played by Tina Fey, followed by Judd, played by Jason Bateman. Bringing up the baby end of the train is Philip, played by
Philip.
Adam Driver, and then their mother is
Yes.
Hillary, played by Jane Fonda.
Yes, and even their father has died, but interestingly there is no actor that plays the
Nope.
father except in a flashback, so we don't see old dad, which I think it kind of works for the
Yeah.
movie. Um, and now we get into all the various partners and love interests. So we've got Jason, the girl next door, the girl that Judd falls for in town, is played by the great Rose
In
Byrne
his
as
hometown,
Penny.
like kind of old flame.
Is Yeah, exactly. Um, Catherine Hahn plays Annie. Catherine Hahn is married to Paul, Corey Stoll, but used to date
Oof.
Judd back in high school, I think.
Mm.
Um, Connie Britton. Oh my
Oh
God,
my God, Bonnie
Connie,
Brittle.
Coach. Did you ever watch Friday Night
I
Lights?
didn't.
She's great
I
in
know
it.
she
She's
is.
great
I've
in it. I only
been.
watched the first like 3 seasons. I should have kept going, but she's great in that, and I'm assuming she's great in all the other great TV things that she's been on. Um, Timothy Oliphant
Wait, wait,
is
wait.
Hori.
Who does who does Connie Britton play, Evan?
Oh, Connie Britton. Thank you. Connie Britton plays Tracy. Tracy is Philip's therapist and lover, though apparently not at the same time. But ethical gray area there.
Don't do that. Don't date a
Um,
significantly younger man when you're an older woman with your shit together and a therapist. Don't do that. Anyway, keep going.
could have made better life
Mhm.
choices. Um, then there, Timothy Oliphant plays Hori, who is Wendy's first and only true love from high school, college days when they were young.
Mhm.
Hori got into a bad car accident with Wendy and has some kind of problem with his brain. I guess we're supposed to think that he's got a chunk of his brain missing, so he like misses out on things. I'm sure in the novel they go into like what the deal with his
Yeah, I
brain
mean
is,
it's
but he basically has to live at home because he's mentally impaired.
yeah. Yeah. He grew up with them across the street with his
Yeah.
mom, Linda.
Linda, who is played by Deborah Monk, who I don't know her from what, but she's
Yeah,
great
she's
in this.
lovely.
It's a very kind of a small role, but she's really great. Um, and then Dax Shepard as Wade, the
Ooh.
philandering shock jock bro radio host who is Judd's boss and is sleeping with his wife. And his wife, Judd's wife, played by Abigail Spencer, plays Quinn, Judd's wife, who is cheating on him because they had a miscarriage a year ago and they hadn't been the same since. And they grew distant,
Yep.
and things happen, you guys. Some things happen when you're in New York, living the high
What are
life,
you gonna do?
and you just got no love in the house. You got to do it. Um, let's not forget about Sonic the Hedgehog himself, the great Ben Schwartz
Oh,
as Rabbi Charles Grodner, which was such a brilliant casting
dude.
choice, and I'm so
He
happy that this is how they did it. He plays Boner. Everybody still calls him by the shitty high school nickname that they gave him years ago, which is really mean and very funny.
it's also it's so funny because I mean, okay, we all know, right? Jason Schwartzman is a comedic genius. He's so funny.
Ben
Oh,
Schwartz. Ben
sorry, sorry,
Schwartz.
sorry. Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz is a comedic genius.
Yeah.
He's so funny. Um, and him playing a
Yeah. Cream of the
yeah,
crop.
him
Mwah.
playing a rabbi is incredible. It's like I think you put in your notes. It's like he's trying to do like an open mic night, but like at
Yeah.
temple.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? Let's get this guy to just do his stand up routine as the
Oh my god,
rabbi.
it's so funny, and it's also very funny too because he's like, trying to be a he's like, "I'm the rabbi for this temple, this synagogue congregation," like, all of this stuff, and then as soon as these, like, fellow adults that he grew up with are like, "Alright, see you later, boner," he's like, "I will fucking kill you! Don't fucking call me that!" Like, loses his mind. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Adam Driver is always giving him the nut
Oh
tap,
my
and it's
god, right!
oh god,
Oh,
that was a good moment.
it's so good.
So yeah, a star-studded cast and a little bit of a of an intro into all the kind of like beginning relationship dynamics of who these people are to each other. So strap in for the dysfunctional family drama, y'all, because that's where this movie goes with both dramatic and comedic effects, I suppose. We'll be right back discussing more about This Is Where I Leave You. Oh my God. I swear to God. Fucking YouTube knows exactly what to push to me. I was like, that's just a free minute. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
I'll just go on YouTube and find something to watch for 30 seconds. The one of the first of the 6 things that YouTube fed me is it's called Rat Detective Boogie
What?
from the user Stellar Cruise here, and it's a hour-long mix of music.
What?
Here's the description. Get down with Rat Detective Boogie, a groovy 60-minute adventure starring our smoothest private eye,
Ooh.
mixing funky disco beats with funky noir aesthetics. This cool rat detective who knows how to solve crimes and bust a move. And then the image on the image on the video is like this kind of like secret of Nim, but like I don't know, like it looks like a Mobius painting or
What?
something of like a rat with a rat and a humanoid rat in a sewer with a giant orange trench coat and a 9mm pointed right at the fucking screen. I'm like, fucking YouTube has got my number.
Okay.
That's exactly what I want. Wait, can I read some of the comments down
Yes,
below too?
please.
People are making all of these quotes from Rat Detective. Okay. Cats have 9 lives. My chamber carries only 6 bullets. Just my goddamn luck. Okay, wait. These cats were cooking, but I smelled too many chefs in the kitchen, and not one wearing approved shoes for crews. Someone was bound to slip. Route Detective Frank Dambo. Okay, that one's okay. This one's great, though. Um, this city is a maze, kid. Lucky for me, I know where all the cheese traps are.
Okay, so here's what
People are so creative.
um here's what I'm gonna need you to do. I'm gonna need you to send me the link because I am 100% putting a link to this video in our episode
You have
description.
to. Wait, oh my God, yeah. Here we go. Rat Detective Boogie. Oh God, it's so, yeah. Anyway, and you too can vibe out to the funky sounds, the funky tunes, and the noir aesthetic of Rat Detective Boogie.
What? I mean, it's all I didn't know I needed, but everything I wanted.
I hope Sean Levy listens to this episode and is like, they spend half their time talking about a fucking YouTube video of funk
That
music with a
has
rat detective on it.
literally nothing to do with my film.
In greats.
And if anybody is watching this
Okay.
on YouTube, uh, we took our little break prior to that outro, so my shirt is different now. Sorry, editor Evan, for non-continuity.
Whoa. That's okay. I'm not really all that concerned with the continuity of the visual
That's
aspect of
fair.
things. I kind of like it if it jumps around a little bit. It's fun, you know, as long as we sound good and there's also video of us doing the thing that we do. That's fine by me.
Sweet. All right.
Siblings doing sibling stuff.
Um,
Speaking of,
Speaking of, yeah, so we did the characters, and instead of like going through the scenes or things necessarily, I thought we could just sort of talk about, hey, here are some of the sibling things that came up in this movie or family dynamic things, and just sort of talk about each of those a little bit because that is really where this movie shines, is in those individual
yeah,
relationships.
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to start off with Judd and Wendy. I mean, to me, they're like
Yeah.
they're the closest they're obviously, to me, the ones that I identify the most with,
Right.
because I feel like, to me, it felt like the closest uh an
Analog?
I don't know what word I'm trying to find for analog. Thank you. I was like, analogy isn't right. Is the closest analog for my relationship with
Oh,
you, in that
absolutely.
they feel they are a great brother sibling, brother and sister team, and they feel like they really um, they, of all the siblings, they feel kind of like the closest, like the most like friends in a way,
They're the most
like
equal.
they all love each other. They're the most equal. Yeah, that's how I put it in my notes too. It was like they feel like on par with one another. They are both yeah. What's happening to
Sorry.
your
I'm trying.
to your
I
camera?
know. I'm sorry. I'm, like, trying to read.
No, it's
I was just
okay.
gonna
This is an
say, like,
auditory
I'm
medium.
so
I shouldn't
sorry.
have
No,
even brought attention
I
to
know.
it,
I was
but
like, "Don't say anything yet, it won't be an issue."
shut up. This is what siblings are
It's
for.
just
Yeah, calling out all the stupid shit that you do with humor and love,
Yeah, yeah,
ball
but
busting humor.
it is this kind of I think Jed and Wendy's relationship kind of goes into a thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about too, which is just the way that birth order can kind of influence your quote unquote like role in the family and also your relationship with
Hmm.
like your relationship with your
I know.
parents, but also your relationship with your other siblings. And
Yeah,
because
many books have been written on the subject,
many have been, my
but we're gonna get it right.
obviously, we're the experts. So, like, because Wendy and Judd are the 2 middle kids,
Middle.
they're the 2 middle
Hmm.
kids, but they don't have the same, I don't know, like, paternalistic or, they don't have kind of the hierarchy in their relationship that exists between some of the other siblings, and I think because of that, that's
Yeah.
why they're like, "Hey, Wendy gives very much, like, big sister energy, um, but
Hmm.
she and Judd kind of are a little bit more on a level playing field, and, like, you get the sense that the kids are all sort of, like, probably, like, 2 to 4 years apart, so they seem, like, relatively close in age, um,
Yeah.
and
I also think that. Sorry, you finish.
oh, no, 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 I was
Your
just
thought.
gonna say that, that you do get the sense of, like, Paul, the oldest child, definitely has a very different vibe and life and outlook on himself
Mhm.
you know, than Judd and then Philip as the other brothers, and then Wendy is kind of like, "Just shut the fuck up, and if you could get your shit together, I would super appreciate it. All of you are ding dongs." And what does she say? She says, "You're all idiots, but you're my idiots." And I was like, "Good sister energy. That's amazing."
Yeah, that was a cute line.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
that. If I didn't like rewatch the trailer for it, but I was like, that was in the trailer
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think there's this you know what? Can I stand up for a moment for younger siblings? I wanna
Absolutely.
s
Yeah.
I wanna stand up.
Sibling to sibling, go ahead and stand
I w
up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to actually stand up because I have to be in frame. Um, but
Oh, metaphorically stand up, you mean? Sure.
yes,
Do whatever you want.
I wanna metaphorically stand up for younger siblings. Um, I think this movie does a very nice job of representing both the strengths and weaknesses of younger siblings and youngest siblings. And
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to just say that, uh, you know, youngest siblings, we get a bad rap, right? "Oh, you're chaotic. Oh, like, no one ever held you accountable. Oh, our parents are, like, did
You get
whatever.
whatever you
Oh, you
want.
get whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, like, our
Yes.
whatever."
I'm constantly sending you scientific
They
research papers about all of about how science is proving that youngest siblings are crazy.
It is one of my favorite things. Like, I always get in, like, messages on, like, Instagram or whatever that's like, "Study shows that younger siblings are fucking awful. Here, it's been validated by the Harvard Review," and I'm like, "God damn it, Evan, I know."
It's never been that bad. It's never been that. Wait a minute. Let me. Oh, I have to open up Instagram. I thought this was in our messages. Okay, never
No,
mind. But
but
yes,
it is
it is stuff like
it
that.
is stuff like that.
Like, turns out stress levels of people with younger siblings are higher than other, or
Like,
something like
it's
that.
always shit like that, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I think that there are some benefits and strengths of younger siblings that are often overlooked that I wanna just set the record straight a little, okay? So,
Yeah. Speak up for yourself and your
speak
people
up
out
for me and
there. Let's hear it.
my community. Um,
Me and my younger sibling community out there.
I think there is, I think there are a couple of key strengths. One being, uh, younger siblings tend to be able to, how do I want to phrase this? Like, kind of see and call people on their own, like, bullshit slash dysfunction in a very different way. Um, like,
Yes.
there is an amount of,
It's like the family it's like the family genetic line has given up on the bullshit and is like by the time the
oh,
youngest one is there, they're
not
just
here for
like,
it.
the epigenetics in me are telling me to that this is BS and something must be
Right,
done.
exactly, exactly. It's kind of like, yeah, exactly that. The epigenetics were like, all right, well, y'all fucked around and now you're gonna find out. They're like, and I think that that is a strength. It can also, not always be great, but I do think it's a strength. And
It
I think
is.
it's a
Yeah.
strength there.
Speak truth to
I
power.
think,
Speaking truth to power is always
yes,
good.
and I think younger siblings sometimes can kind of be that little bit of like canary in the coal mine a little bit of where it's just like, y'all, this is fucked up. Like, we get that, right? Like, we don't have to like mince words. Like, we can just say like this is fucked up or whatever. They're also just like less
Yeah.
serious generally, which I think is always more fun. Because they're not older siblings
Yeah. They
and
are
there's no responsibility.
they are they are always the fun ones,
Always the fun
it
ones.
seems.
Always the fun ones. Um and I think,
I
oh,
mean,
go ahead.
I will admit I do know some very serious younger siblings out there, but for the
For
most
the
part,
most part, the good ones are fun.
they're y'all younger siblings are
I
goofballs.
know. And I think the last thing is that typically so like if you have older siblings, they
Mhm,
were only children, right? When they were very young.
mhm,
Like they were like
yes,
1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. They were the only child in the
mhm,
house, and then the subsequent children came along. But youngest siblings
mhm.
are only children in like their teenage years. Um,
Oh, that's
which I
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
which I
yeah.
think is a
Mhm,
very different dynamic because you are more aware of your parents as people. Like,
mhm.
as you are becoming an
Mm,
adult, right,
mhm.
as you're in your, like, mid to
Yeah,
late teenage years or whatever, you are
mhm.
living with your parents alone for the first time. And it's,
And also because they've done, especially in a
yeah,
multi-generation family, or sorry, not
multi-sibling.
multi-generation, but in a multi-children
Yeah.
family, especially in a situation like that, they have they have let the mask
Oh,
down
well, let
more
me
with
tell
the youngest sibling.
they don't give a fuck.
They're like, "Okay, we did the parenting thing, like, some of it worked, some of it didn't, so we're just gonna be people
I
now and,
think
like, just."
there is an amount of, by the time you get to the last, especially, I mean, in this film, they have 4 children. So, like, by
Mhm,
the time that, the youngest kid is, like, in high school or whatever, and the other kids are, like, off at college, the parents are probably just
mhm,
like, "You're fucking gonna do what you're gonna do, like, we've already done this, they turned out fine, whatever, just, like, go away." But yeah, they're kind of
Yeah.
like over it. And I think there was one line in this movie that Adam Driver says when they are all
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about this,
so
yeah.
they were all, they're all adults, sitting Shiva for their father who's passed. Um, and I was like, "Ooh boy, sitting for 7 days with your siblings and your mom, just that's all you have." I was like, "That sounds very fun and also like a special kind of hell." I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh boy," but
Like, just grin and bear it. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, Judd says it best when he's just like, well, I don't remember what he says, but he's like, "This counts as
This
day
counts as
one,
day 1,
right?"
right? And
Like,
they're all like, "What about 3 days?" It's like, "No, Shiva means 7 in Hebrew, like, you have to do it for 7 days." Anyway, um,
yeah.
so they on the 1st or 2nd night, they, like, all, like, quote, unquote, like, "sneak out of the house." I mean, these are all people in their, like, 40s, like, 30s and 40s, and
Right.
they're, like, sneaking out of their
Right.
mom's house to go to a bar,
Yeah.
which I think,
Yeah.
A, was funny. But then
If you had Jane Fonda as a mother, I think this movie's a perfect representation of what having Jane Fonda as a mother would
I
be like.
agree. I
But
agree.
anyway, they're sneaking
But they
out.
all sneak out, quote unquote sneak out. They're not sneaking out, obviously. But they go to the bar together, and it's really sweet because like Philip, the youngest sibling, is like, "Yeah, I never got to go and like drink with you guys. Like you were all gone by the time that I
Yeah.
could drink." And I was like, "Ooh boy, I feel that like really hard actually." Like that's I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh,
Yeah, it sucks.
it sucks."
I know. I really tried my best to come back and try to share some of those, maybe sometimes too intensely. We had a great night of, well, it was a fun night of drinking on Christmas
Oh
Eve up
man.
until one particular moment where it all went south. And thanks to me and a responsible 21-year-old
Heaven
brother.
Evan and I got so mammered dammered, but yeah, like, but that sense that I think that is one thing that is very unique that youngest siblings have that older siblings don't have is this sort of like
Mhm.
mid late adolescence alone with your parents with no buffer
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
um, for better or
And
worse.
there's a kind of, yeah, and in just in the sibling relationships themselves, especially in this, I mean, I feel like Philip in particular, I'll speak to this character and not all younger siblings, but he definitely has a sense of like, I don't want to say that he doesn't have any camaraderie with any of his siblings because he clearly has, but as the youngest sibling, he almost looks to his older siblings as parental
Yes.
figures, and there's a and this is not a bad thing, but there's like a lack of camaraderie in the same way with the other siblings that he as the
Yeah.
youngest sibling has, because he was sort of, yeah, at that particular moment in his life when he's forming himself and becoming an adult, it was just him, as you point
Yeah.
out. And so the kind of like camaraderie that he any camaraderie that he had with his siblings growing up, which he had always had since he was born, it was gone at a certain point. So I think that
Mhm.
was when he, as a character, is like, I have to, fend for myself or figure out, but also I'm not gonna do it in a serious way. I'm gonna sort of like
Yeah.
live life one Porsche
Yeah.
and cheerleader girlfriend at
Yeah.
a time.
Yeah, and he so yeah, it's funny. This is one of the things too that through you can look at it through many different lenses. We talked about Wendy and Judd, the kind of two middle siblings. But then there's also this
Yeah. I love how Philip kind of points like they like everybody gets a little scene with each other, it
yeah,
feels
and it's
like.
really
Maybe
nice.
maybe the only people that don't get a scene together are like Wendy and
Paul.
Paul, I
I
feel
think that's the
like.
only one, but it's but like Paul and Philip, right, the oldest son and the very youngest son, obviously have a
Oh, they're great.
they're great.
I love their those Corey Stoll and Adam Driver are great playing that dynamic together because they just like get on each other's nerves so
It's
intensely. It's
so
great to watch.
immediate of just, like because it's kind
Yeah.
of the perfect juxtaposition of, like, the oldest sibling who is, like, you've got to be serious and get your shit together, and like you've got to be an adult and you have to be a grown up, and like this is and then the youngest sibling
Yeah.
who's like
He's the wet blanket
ultimate
of the family for sure.
ultimate wet blanket, and then the younger sibling who's like, but what if I just like fuck with you?
Yeah. I really, it's funny. The line that you said that Adam Driver said earlier. Actually, that wasn't what I was thinking of. It's
Oh,
interesting that
what
we
were you
keyed into
thinking about?
different pieces of his. I was actually, funny enough, I was actually thinking about a line that Judd says about Philip, where
Ah,
later on, where it's like him, where it's like Judd and Paul,
mhm.
the two older brothers, talking about how he was like, I think dad loved us because we were like him, and he loved Philip because he was nothing like him.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's an interesting delineation of the dynamic there,
I think
like, and there's all these little pieces that kind of feed into who the dad as a character was, that you don't ever see him. You only get other
mhm,
people's reactions about him after his death, which I think is really fascinating. So he said it's like that's a great portrait of the dad as like a loving person, but it's also a portrait of Philip, because you
mhm.
see the dad reflected in all the other siblings, but then Philip specifically has this kind of is this wild card, like gambit kind of energy,
Yeah, it's
enchanté, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle.
It's my best gambit
It was
impression.
not good, neither was mine.
It was not, no.
Uh,
I'm gonna have to work on that
you'll get it.
one.
So and that is another piece of it that is
Remember it. Have you seen X-Men 97?
yes, I've seen X-Men '97.
Okay, good. Whew. I was about to read you the riot act.
Thank you.
Okay. Best cartoon on
Fair,
television.
fair.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, that is another thing that's interesting with, that you can relate back to, like, sibling birth order, personality traits, whatever, is also
Mhm.
this concept, that I think is very real, which is even if you have the same parents and you grow up in the same house, that does not necessarily mean
Mhm.
that you have the same parent, right? How that how
Yeah.
that parent
Mhm.
how that parent shows up for each of their children is different
Mhm.
and is going to be different
Yeah.
in some way, like big ways, small ways, whatever. Um, and
Yeah.
I think there is, there can be something with siblings that, when a kid reflects back parts of that parent's personality to
Mhm.
them, it can, I mean, for good or ill. Um, that is like a particular type of relationship because you're kind of like, y- I would imagine, I'm not a parent, but you have that kind of like self reflecting back on you. But then,
Apparently not.
parent, why not? But with that line of, dad loved us because we were similar and he loved Philip because he was so different. That I think is
Mhm.
another piece that can be really interesting with I mean, with any kid, but especially younger siblings, that if they are
Mhm.
very different from one or both of their parents even, there's sort
Mhm.
of this, like, how that might be interpreted in an older child, which might be like, "Oh my god, like, just be better, be more like me." Is sort of, like, loved
Right.
and endearing in a younger sibling in a different way, um, and I think you see that too because like, Judd is sort of like the quote, unquote, like, "classic middle child." He's got
Mhm.
big middle child vibes, he's always sort of, like, trying to just, like, not
Let me put my headphones
let
on
me
and go away from these crazy
yeah,
people.
he's sort of like, "I just can't deal with this, so I'm gonna, like, bounce or, like, I'm gonna disconnect, I'm gonna not, like I wanna fix every
Yeah,
I wanna fix it, but I
as
wanna
the
be apart from it, I just need to not,
yeah.
you know, engage."
As the middle child, you feel no particular strength in the family dynamic, despite being loved and respected by your siblings for all the reasons that you would be, and parents for that matter. But yeah, you kind of, as far as like getting, and it has to do with Judd's temperament
Sure.
too, right? Like he's just the kind of person who wants to be quiet and who doesn't like dysfunction and is trying to gather a sense of control in his own life, so he ends up controlling everything and trying to make the narrative of his life work out in a way, but it's true, like, he finds a way to just kind of disconnect from
Yeah.
the larger dynamic, probably because he feels like he doesn't have like power to change it. Anything that works with his temperament doesn't actually affect seemingly the family dynamic. Obviously, if he's removed from it, it changes the dynamic quite a bit. But as far as a person who can like get his oldest and younger brother to stop fighting, it doesn't work. Get his
Yeah.
mom to stop being crazy, it doesn't work.
No.
To get his kid brother to stop, sleeping around, it doesn't work, like all the
Yeah.
things you would try to make a better, more cohesive, insane family just aren't, I feel like he doesn't feel the power cache in his,
Yeah. And then
in his particular dynamic, so it leads him to be a more which is why, again, I think his relationship with Wendy is so interesting, because they both have a certain extent of that and kind of commiserate over it
yeah.
in their quiet moments. Like, they're the ones who are able, I mean, just they push each other's buttons too in a loving way, because and it's always for they, more than anybody else, are all about like pushing each other. At least Wendy pushes his buttons for his betterment. It's
Yes.
like annoying and stupid, and they don't like each other while it's happening, but it's also like with the intent of making her brother a better person. And to a certain extent, he does that too with her. They just kind of are able to reflect the
Mhm.
situation of their lives to each other in the quiet moments that the other siblings do in their own way, but they have a very particular dynamic. They're able to come at it and actually have a discussion about it,
Right.
rather than like a couple of words of like "I love you," "fuck you," "okay, bye."
Right. Yeah, no, they definitely, I mean, and even when Judd first shows up to the Shiva, like his Wendy is the only one that knows that his wife has cheated on him, because like she's
Right.
the only one that he's told. Nobody else knows that. Um
Yeah, clearly, they're the ones who kind of like keep up with each other more than
yes.
other people, right?
Yeah.
Where we kind of get that's implied without even having to mention it in dialogue, just by the fact that she knows something that everybody else doesn't know.
Yeah, and it is yeah, just their relationship is very fun, because it's also like a very non judgmental while being very judgmental relationship, in the way that relationship,
Yeah, totally.
because like for example, like Paul and Philip are always going to be judgmental towards each other, period. Wendy is always going to
Right.
be a little maternal towards Philip. um
Hmm.
you know
I know. I love that scene too,
uh
when he sort of says that you raised me. Like, I've
yeah.
always like, it's not dad or mom's voice in my head telling me not to do the stupid thing. It's you. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's really sweet that she was sort of like that person who took care of him, when you can only imagine that like a well-meaning, lightly narcissistic mother, would kind of like be avoiding, the youngest child. And I don't know about avoiding, but
No, but just you.
that was just a sweet scene to sort of be like, oh yeah, that happens in family dynamics too.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not it's intended, there like sometimes sisters have especially older
Older
sisters
sisters,
have a
yeah.
kind of have an intention of like kind of helping shepherd the younger
Mhm.
kids through things, because they have that sense of like, I N maybe it's I have to, but it does seem sometimes like, whatever, everybody's different, but it does seem like there's for Wendy, at least, there was a desire to kind
Yeah.
of like
She's
shepherd Philip into, adulthood,
Yeah, exactly, which is really, it's really sweet, and I think there are those times, I mean, I feel like you and I are close enough in age, right? We're only 3 years apart. So we never
Right.
had like a paternalistic uh bent to our relationship, but I know that a lot of
Yeah, there wasn't like a parental
No.
sort of
No,
blah 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 blah
but
blah.
there is with friends of mine who have siblings who are, 5, 8, 9, whatever years older than them. There is kind of a little
Mhm.
bit of that flavor to their relationship and kind of having how you navigate that as adults can be tricky sometimes because you're like, "Well,
Mhm.
I know you as, my kid sibling, my kid brother, sister, whatever." And it can be hard
Mhm.
to switch that dynamic and for the younger sibling to kind of be like, "You need to treat me like a fucking grown up, because I am." And so
Yeah.
that can be,
Yeah.
interesting, but I let's
Partially, I always felt like I couldn't tell you shit anyway, so
you could, but it usually didn't go very well for you, 'cause,
right.
I'd be like, "Shut up, Evan, you're so dumb, you don't know anything." Uh, normal stuff.
I was like, "All right, bitch, you can see where you're at in 3 years.
Shit, I know. Yeah,
I'm trying to help."
I know, I know. God, what a dick. Me, not you. But
Oh. Well, uh, yes, but where do we go from
oh, I know
here?
where I wanna go.
Wendy
I
yeah.
want to talk about Hillary, Jane Fonda's character, the mom.
Oh, yes, we should talk about the
Okay,
mom.
so this character, Hillary, is a therapist who wrote a book about family dynamics called Cradle and All. I think that's the name of the fictional book. And
Yeah.
it's very like Royal Tenenbaums kind of vibes where she basically wrote a book about her children and about their
Right.
family and is so intensely inappropriate of the amount of detail that she shared about them and at the
Yeah.
same time is like, look, I'm very glad that she is an older woman who is very like sexually expressive and also ma'am ma'am. She is so hilariously and
W
wildly inappropriate, and it makes all of her kids just like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, mom, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, like, please be quiet."
Like, who wouldn't develop a
Dude,
complex
for
with a
real.
mom like that? Just like, oh my god, just, like, showing her titties all the
It
time and
it's
fucking talking about sex all the time and bringing
wait,
up everybody masturbating as
oh
teenagers.
my
It's like, oh my
god.
god. Oh, and talking about her husband's
Dude,
dick,
okay, wait,
like, for a long
I have a
time.
couple
Like, oh
hilarious
my god. Jane Fonda is selling this for
I have a
real.
couple of very funny quotes, related to Jane Fonda's character. When Philip shows up late, by the way, of course he's late, he's the youngest sibling. When he shows up late
Oh, yeah,
to
to the
his
funeral.
father's funeral and,
Yeah, blasting hip hop
and
music in his Porsche.
Wendy and Jed
It's not even his
it's
Porsche
not.
anyway.
Wendy and Jed have kind of had their little moment at the funeral saying hi to each other, and Jed's like, "Mom looks different," and Wendy's like, "Oh yeah, she got new tits." And she's
Mhm.
like I mean, she has these, like, insane huge titties that she's, like, pushing up in a push-up bra, and
Yeah.
as soon as Judd shows up, and of course, he's not gonna be serious at his father's funeral, is immediately gonna start making jokes. Philip goes up to Judd and is like, "Mom's new tits are present and accounted for," and I was just like, "Oh my god." Such a younger sibling thing to say, I love it. And then when
Call it out right
call it
there.
out, and then, like, when she is talking, she's sitting, part of sitting Shiva is that your community people come by the house while you're sitting Shiva and, bring food and talk to you about your lost loved one and all of this stuff. And, or at least in this film, I'm not Jewish, I don't know. But I think that is part
Mhm,
of it. And so people are, talking to Hillary about her husband who's passed away. And she
mhm.
just remember her four children are sitting right next to her. She just starts talking about her former husband, their father's dick, and how good it was.
Giant
Oh
dick,
my god.
large
Oh
circumference.
my god, and all of the kids are like, "Mom, shut the fuck up, like, what are you doing?" And
Yeah.
then Jason Bateman, Judd leans over and is like, "Clearly she lost more than a husband," and, like, gets up and leaves, and it's just like, "I can't do this anymore," and then she turns back and is
Yeah.
like, "You know, I really did lose more than a husband," and I was like, "Oh my god," and she always there's, like, her, like, huge fake boobs is kind of this, like, running gag throughout the movie where it's just recurring all the time of, her, like, robe falling open and Judd being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, no, thank you," like, turning away and being like, "Can
Yeah.
you holster those bad boys?"
Yeah.
Like,
Put another sash on,
yeah,
mom.
and,
Yeah.
like and at one point, like, Wendy gets into bed with her mom, and they're, like, oh, they're having a really sweet moment, and then she, like, grabs her mom's boob and is like, "These are actually really comfortable." And
That was a funny
it's just
moment.
so funny.
That strikes me as I have no
I think that's a
idea
Tina
what was
Feyism,
what, but
but
that strikes me as a Tina Fey
I
improv
know.
moment.
It's
He's
very
gonna be
funny.
like, "I'm gonna grope Jane Fonda's
I
boobs."
know, and it's just it's a very funny thing because, like, and Hillary's always, like, saying this, like, wild, out of pocket, inappropriate shit around her kids.
Yeah. Oh my god. She's a quintessential oversharing boomer
And
parent.
she at one point, I can't remember if she does it.
No wonder Gen X was so disaffected. It's
I
just
know,
like these people are fucking
I
crazy.
know, and I there's at one point that she's like,
You were too free, people.
she's talking to Judd at one point, and I think she says something like, "I just don't know how you all got so repressed." And I was like, "They just have normal boundaries. They literally
You
just
need
have
to just look
normal
in a mirror,
boundaries." I
maybe.
know. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god."
The answer is in your bathroom mirror every
Every
morning,
fucking
Hillary.
morning. Yeah, she's oh my god,
Yeah.
she is perfect, and she is just the most, like, "Well, I'm liberated, so I don't know why it's inappropriate to be, like, sexually liberated around my children," and all her kids are like,
Yeah.
"Please, for the love of the Lord, make it stop.
Shut the fuck up, mom.
Shut the fuck up."
Interesting. Yeah. Um, um, oh my god, what was I gonna talk about? It was specifically around Hillary and Jane Fonda.
That Jane
Well,
Fonda's
whatever.
an
We
amazing
have an
actor.
interesting Yes, I mean, Jane Fonda is an
Yeah,
amazing actress
great.
and is really good at these kinds of roles. We have an interesting connection to Jane Fonda actually that I learned about recently. It's like friend of a friend, whatever, but like um Roger Perry, the man that our father is roommates with, has a
Mm,
brother who recently passed away,
mm.
Richard Perry. Richard Perry was married to Jane Fonda for a number of years and has
What?
there's a little coffee yeah,
Wait,
Richard
what?
Perry was a big music producer in Los Angeles. Yeah, for real. So Jane Fonda was Roger Perry's in-law for a while,
The
sister-in-law,
fuck?
which is crazy.
The
Yeah,
fuck?
Richard Perry was a very successful record producer,
Huh,
in Los Angeles and doing all those kinds of things. So,
wow.
um,
I had no idea.
I know,
I
crazy.
had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know either. And I mean, I visited them, and there was a coffee table book with like Roger's brother and Jane Fonda, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And it's like, yeah, that was when we went over to Richard and Jane's house, and we're just, hanging out with fucking Harvey Keitel and Tom Hanks and stuff. I was like, "Oh,
Great.
cool. How about that?"
Rad.
So, m m m minor family friend connection
Wow.
through the old people in our lives to Jane Fonda. She seems Have you seen her first appearance on the Colbert Report
No.
where it's her and,
Lily Tomlin?
no, no, no.
Oh.
Anyway,
Gloria
okay, I promise.
Steinem?
Hang on. Gloria
There we
Steinem,
go.
yes. So Jane
Oh,
okay,
man, we're
thank you.
such bad
Whew.
feminists. Sorry,
I
Gloria.
know,
So
seriously,
I'm so
Colbert
sorry, Miss Steinem.
Report.
I really, really respect you, and I love your work. I'm so sorry. Gloria Steinem. Yes, go ahead.
okay. They went onto the Colbert Report. Gloria Steinem and Jane Fonda. They co-founded the Women's Media
Mm,
Center, and they were discussing it. Anyway, in this interview, there is some gag where they're doing something sexy, Gloria Steinem and Jane Fonda, because it's the Colbert Report. So he's playing up the sort
yeah,
of angle, the right wing angle to satirize it for you young people out
yep,
there who don't know what the
yep.
Colbert Report is. And there's a gag where like Colbert leans in to kiss Jane Fonda and she goes for it and starts like making out with him. And he's like,
Oh
oh, and he
no!
was like not prepared. And he was like, that's gonna be a discussion with my wife tonight.
Can you imagine?
But it was, and he had talked about earlier about just how like she was Jane
Jane
Fonda.
fucking
She was
Fonda.
like the sex icon
Yes,
of the 60s and of the 70s, you know?
yes.
So of course Colbert is like, oh my God.
I mean,
But Jane Fonda clearly had a thing for the Colberts of the world, and it's a great little moment caught on TV.
I there's another similar kind of moment where Meryl Streep lays a lays one on Mark Ruffalo on the Graham Norton show, and
Oh, nice.
it's like you can see
You're
Mark
like,
Ruffalo being like, I think my heart might actually have stopped and just like restarted, like
oh my God. Mark Ruffalo's the best. Mark Ruffalo should be in
because
everything.
she okay, wait, I'm sorry, we're gonna take another little Mark Ruffalo detour. He
The Mark Ruffalo corner.
so they're on the Graham Norton show and Meryl Streep is promoting like Into the Woods or something and she made some comment about, like the year that I turned 40, I was offered 3 witches in 1 year, which made me feel that the industry thought of women over 40 in a certain way. And then Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo, smooth motherfucker, goes, wow, that must have been really hard for you 5 years ago. Fucking smooth operator. And then she like the whole
Nice.
crowd starts laughing and then she just like turns to him and grabs him and like kisses him on the face and he, like kisses him on the lips and he just is like he's just like, I'm sorry,
I wasn't
I was
prepared
not
for this.
prepared. It's so funny. And also I was just like, oh man, yeah, I was just
That's how you do
that's
it.
how
That's
you
how you do it, gents.
look, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do it. Because he's so just like, oh wow, that must have been really hard 5 years. Like it must have been really hard for you 5 years ago. And she's
Oh man, she knows how to play. Really great actors are good at that. They are good at listening and
oh
reacting.
my god, I know. Okay,
And she's the best. So there you go.
the last kind of thing that I wanted to talk about that this movie brings up a little bit, and it kind of comes through in different ways. It's just like, man, having kids throws a real wrench in things. Or wanting to have kids and not because so
Yes.
Catherine
Yeah.
Hahn, who plays Annie.
Oh my god, the
Oh,
great, the
the
legendary.
legendary.
Underutilized in this movie, but I'm so
I
happy
know.
she's
I'm
in it.
happy she's in it. So she plays Annie, who's Paul's wife, and she and Paul have been trying to get pregnant. And she
And she is also, remember, Judd's
ex-girlfriend
ex-girlfriend from
back in
way
the day.
back, like high school
Yeah, back in the
probably.
day.
Mhm.
And she is trying to get pregnant and has been for a long time. And like I only have ancillary, anecdotal stories of friends of mine that have struggled with infertility in various ways, and it really like fucking drives you nuts. Like it is like it drives you crazy with good reason. Like if all
Totally.
that you want is to have a child, and you just like it puts a lot of stress on individuals. It puts a lot of stress on relationships and all of this stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then so, like, there's that stress surrounding children, and then Wendy has kids who, by the way, her son Cole is an absolute
Oh,
icon.
right.
He just has this little, like,
The
potty
Yeah,
thing.
the running
Oh my
gag.
god.
Yeah. The running gag in the movie is that he's getting potty trained, and he takes his little portable potty with him everywhere he goes, and is just shitting in front of
But,
everyone, and
like,
very, very proud of it
but also
too.
is, like, specifically taking it and, like, going to poop on the front porch in the morning, just being like, "What a nice day."
Dude,
I was
that
like, "You're
scene I
freer
was
than any motherfucker on this planet. I love
Yeah.
you."
I know when yeah, that particular one, I was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
that seems really
I
nice." to Just go out and have your morning shit out on the porch, just, like, enjoying the sunshine and the trees, just like, "Ah, this is the
I
life," you
know, it's
know?
like, what a
It's
day,
like
what a day.
yeah.
But, she has 2 children, and that is maybe putting a strain on her marriage to her husband, who's a total shithead, but, like, that is causing its own
Yeah.
stress, and then Judd,
Wait, w k
Wendy's
uh,
kids,
sorry, Annie? Wendy's.
Wendy's
Oh,
kids,
yes.
and
Wendy's
the
husband
mom.
is a total
Yes,
dickhead. It's just like the 5 minutes of screen time we're like, "This guy sucks."
sucks. And then, like, Judd's wife, soon to be ex-wife, Quinn, getting pregnant and them having,
Mhm,
gone through the early loss of a child, with the miscarriage and what that does to their relationship, and then sort of her becoming pregnant with his kid, and all of the
mhm.
things that that does. I was just like, "Man, oh man, kids, complicated, huh?" Just
Yeah,
yeah,
quite.
just such a thing.
You know,
Yeah,
and
going through the whole, and, like, I did like that when the family, when Annie especially finds out that Quinn is pregnant,
mhm.
she, like, she's a very sweet
She has a
woman.
little bit of a hissy
She
fit. I
I mean,
mean, that's maybe too glib of a way
I
to
was
put
gonna
it, but she's
say,
definitely like, "God damn it!" Like, it's fucking frustrating, you know? It's
I
like,
was
to the point where, like, social niceties would say, "I should just fucking grin and bear this moment," but it's, like, so intensely stressful and intense that, like, you can't help but react
yeah,
to it, like, swear to
and
God.
that is very real too. And especially, like, when you're doing infertility treatments and you're doing IVF, and
Shots
you're
and
doing hormone
mhm.
shots, and you're having eggs harvested, and it's, like, very invasive, and, like, you're timing out when you can have sex with your partner, and then it takes the fun out of it. It's like, it's just like a high stress situation. And I did really like that too, because she was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, all I want is to be a
Yeah.
mom. Like, are you fucking kidding me?" And I was like, "That's a very real response, and I appreciate that."
Yeah. This movie does a great job of, like, layering on every kind of
Yes.
stress-inducing, adult life relationship situation you could think
Yes.
of that would happen to, like, normal people.
Yes.
Like, the movie is not like Taken. It's like, "My daughter has been
No.
kidnapped." It's like, your wife is sleeping with your boss. Your husband's an asshole. You still love the man you
Yep.
first fell in love with, but he's mentally impaired. It's hard to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard having a miscarriage. I really like that too.
Yeah.
Like, this is something I think people ought to talk about more. Like, Quinn,
Mm,
part of the reason that Judd and Quinn's relationship was sort of deteriorating was because they had a miscarriage,
mm,
like, whatever, a year or two before
mhm.
the story of this movie starts, which is also a real thing that
Mhm.
people deal with and is tough. Like, that's another thing that is kind of is silenced in our society because it feels like, oh, like, I don't know, somehow it feels shameful to women when they,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
can't have a kid, or like the kid and it's so much more common than
it's so
you
common.
think. It's so common in people.
It's
It's
so
like one
common,
of those
and
things that ought to be
also,
talked about more.
Um, and also when it can be potentially criminalized, that doesn't make it easier to talk about either.
That's
It's
true. Yes,
fucked up because
exactly.
spontaneous pregnancy loss early in pregnancy is very common. It's totally like, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously not normal necessarily, but it does happen and it is really devastating, especially if it's a wanted pregnancy. Um,
Yeah.
and it further that whole interaction of Quinn kind of telling Judd like, hey, like since we both went through this loss, you kind of have withdrawn and you haven't been the same, and you can see too where he as a character sort of became that way because like when things get really big
Mhm.
and really
Yeah.
emotional and
He
really
retreated,
hot,
yeah.
he totally and fully retreated into himself, and that's the same thing that he did
Mhm.
with his wife, and it's like you can't, you can't disengage like that. I mean, it feels
Yeah.
right because it feels like the thing you're used to doing. But it's not
Yeah.
helpful. And he even and Judd kind of towards the end of the movie tells Annie that, hey, you're gonna be a mom one way or the other. It'll happen. But
Yeah.
like, don't trash your relationship in the process. Like it's not,
Totally.
you know,
It's good advice.
it's
Oh, which
good
speaking
advice, but
of,
it's
I
hard to
wanted to
follow,
talk
but it's
about
good it's really good advice.
yes. I wanted to talk quickly about that scene too because,
Oh
Annie in
boy.
her sort
Oh
of
boy.
sex-crazed mania of trying to get a
Oh
baby,
boy.
ends up in one morning, Judd wakes up to her in his bed and is like, let's just like for friends, like, let's
Just like do it.
just
Come on.
do me a solid
And
and,
Jonas
like,
like
screw
got
me,
away
you know?
from
Like,
me.
he's like, "Ah, no, get away from me." And I was just like, "Oh my god," like, thinking back to Step
I
Brothers, I was
know.
like, Catherine Hahn had a long had a
Scary
good
as
run as, like, a sex-crazed maniac woman, a scary sex-crazed maniac lady. I was like, "Alright." She was, like, really
going
getting in a
for it.
pocket with some casting
She really
directors at this
was.
moment in
She
time.
really was. Oh my god.
But this was great because it's fun to compare those two performances because she's like so much more grounded in this one about it and like you know she just like having the baby crazies, she's
Yeah.
just like, come on, just put a baby in me, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and also there's a really great scene at the end of the movie that made me laugh really hard when Paul and her are doing it at another gathering. I think it was the last day of
It's the
Shiva,
last.
and they come on the Wendy's baby monitor, which is really that was maybe the funniest moment in the movie. There was some pretty good
Well, also,
moments. This movie really like ramps up. There's like an hour where you're kind of like there's a few chuckles and
yeah.
it's like serious, but like it ramps up to more funny stuff towards the
The
end, and
best
that was maybe a
the
good
best
climactic
the best part
haha
of that
scene.
of like you can hear Judd and Annie like having sex on the baby monitor that like it's in the whole house, like the whole house is full of people and
Yeah.
everybody can hear it.
There's a whole crowd of
Yes.
people in the house
But
too visiting
of
again.
course. And I was like, good move, Philip. Philip goes over. Wendy is like, Philip, go. Like, he's the closest one. And is like, Philip, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And he's like, oh, what? Turn it up?
Turn it up.
Did you say turn it up? And he like is turning it up, and then all the other siblings are getting in on it and are like, oh yeah, they're going, oh, switching positions. Oh, interesting. And then like Linda, sweet Linda, like runs over and is like, Philip, what is wrong with you? And like tears the battery out. And then Wendy's like, it has a backup battery. And it just like keeps going.
Yeah, it starts up again. Yeah. Oh, that was some
I
good
was just
stuff.
I
Oh,
was
so
like, "Oh my
good.
god, 10 out of 10." Just, like, the most awkward, hilarious, like, uncomfortable everything. Like, it's just yeah, all about it. I was here for
Ah,
it.
so good.
I was here for it.
Um, yeah, me too. That's a great sibling moment. Like, just openly embarrass your family any chance you get
It's
because
the
they need the
best.
piss taken out of
It's
them.
the best.
Yeah.
And oh, the other funny scene that I was definitely laughing about, they're going to temple as a family um to do some prayer or something. And Judd has to borrow one of his dad's like suit jackets, and he and Philip are
Hmm.
sitting next to each other, and Philip like reaches into his dad's pocket because he's like the suit jacket pocket is like, oh, there's something in here, and there's two joints in there. And so they're
Yeah.
sitting in the synagogue, and like Judd like
In like a classroom
no, no,
or
no.
something. Oh no, wait,
So
sorry. You're talking about in
so
the yeah
Judd
in the
in the
service.
service, and
Yeah.
Judd like pulls out the two joints and just like shows them to Philip, and Philip immediately just like gets up and leaves. Like And their mom is like, "Oh my god, what's wrong?" Like, and Judd's like, "Oh, I think he might not be feeling well. I'm gonna go check on
I
him.
think he's sick.
I
Yeah.
think he's sick. Like, I'm gonna go check on him." And then they go into a classroom and they just start getting high together. And I was like,
That evolved into another one of my favorite scenes in the movie of like, between the
mhm,
moments where like the brothers are fighting on the lawn and breaking shit in the
yeah,
house and being crazy weirdos and causing fights and,
yeah, the 3 brothers.
and arguing with each other over. But this particular one is a great moment where the three brothers actually have a moment where they are all cool together and get high in a classroom and just like chill out for a while. And they're like, this shit's crazy. Like, we miss dad and we're having
And
fun. And they're just like singing weird,
yeah,
crazy songs in this classroom. Oh
and
yeah.
then
And it culminates
the
in
fire
another comedic.
the fire alarm goes off and, like, the sprinklers go off, but
Oh
just
yeah.
in
They're like,
that
we need to get back. So that mom asked me to get you guys. The
yeah.
Paul comes in and is like, I needed to get you guys like a couple minutes ago. We should go. And then they're like, like it says, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like nobody's gonna get in
And
trouble, and then the fucking fire
sprinkler.
alarm sprinklers go off and evacuate
And it's
everyone from
only
the building. They're like,
and it's only the sprinklers in that room, so they, like, all 3 of them come out all, like, stony baloney, like, soaking wet, and they're like, "It's
yeah,
fine,
they're
nobody's
totally
noticed, just
soaked.
act natural." And, of course, immediately, the the, uh, the rabbi, Ben Schwartz, is like, "Are you fucking high? Did you get fucking high in the synagogue? Did you get fucking high? Are you high?"
And then they've just pulled the fire alarm and been super irresponsible in his synagogue, and they continue to all call him boner and make fun of him and tap his balls on the way out. It's like they have no respect for this
I
guy.
know, it's very funny, it's just fantastic.
uh,
Oh god, yeah,
yeah,
it's I think
it's good.
I think, you know, we've talked about all the things that I wanna talk about in this movie. It's really fun. I mean, it's a great family dramedy. I think go check it
Mhm.
out.
I will say there's one
Yeah,
small section that I'll just give some lip service to
sure.
here close to the end. I just really also like the representation in this movie of like every of all of the relationships that the siblings have to their significant others or the people that they
Mhm.
are interested in. I'm particularly sort of taken because they're I have had and am having that kind of experience of coming back to
Mm,
your hometown and being around
mm.
like your first love or the people that you
Yep.
experienced or a or a or a love interest that never happened,
Mhm.
like that's Judd's experience with Penny,
Yeah.
Rose Byrne, and Wendy's experience with Hori, who is like her first, she's like coming back and like this is the person that she really loves and uh reconnecting with him in a way that she hasn't since her being with her husband. Judd obviously like having this story of like somebody that he never got with but that is around him, and I think the movie does a great job. Like the sibling dynamic and the family dynamic is like front
Yeah.
and center in this movie, but I think they also do a great job of representing that part of
Yeah.
adult life too, or like, and it's something that I feel like a kinship or an understanding of like coming to your hometown and
Mm.
having gone off and done other things when you've moved away, but then also seeing all these other people from your past and negotiating what that relationship is now,
Mhm.
negotiating those like complicated feelings because you were essentially a child when they were formed,
Yeah.
but you were also becoming an adult and you're kind of like they just do a really good job of that. And like Wendy and Hori's relationship
Mm.
is really interesting. You can tell that they really have a lot of like care for each other, and there's just this sadness that they didn't work out because of
Yeah.
circumstances in life.
Yeah.
And also Judd and Penny is interesting. She really is kind of like the sort of perfect girl
Yeah.
in some way. She's not quite manic pixie dream girl, but she's sort
Yeah.
of like a little strange, a little whatever. Like they could have maybe done a little bit more deeper
Yeah.
characterization with her. But Rose Byrne brings a lot
Yeah.
to the role and is like fun in it. But it is a very distinct feeling
Mhm.
of like, oh, like, yeah, that feeling where you're like, I'm back in the sauce again, and I'm like surrounded by all of these feelings that I've sort of cut off, and it's like, I don't know, it's fun to see that represented
It
and try
is.
to, I don't know. They just do a great job of getting all of the different shit that can happen to you that is weird and complicated
Yeah,
and messy, which I think is what the thesis of the film
yeah,
is, that, Judd comes around to being like, I do want to get my shit together and try something with you, Penny, because my wife, we don't really love each other, but I think that it would be nice to try something messy with you.
yeah.
I've lived an uncomplicated life for a long time. I want to try something
Mhm.
more complicated and messy and real, like with you.
And
So,
I also am
yeah, I
gonna
just
give myself time to go figure that out, so I'm not dragging you through it because
totally,
I
yeah. Oh, and then of course Hillary, the
okay,
Jane
that's what I was gonna
Fonda,
say.
ends
Wait, wait,
up.
wait, 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 wait. So this is what I was gonna say.
Oh my god! And then Philip with the therapist, Connie Britton, and oh my god. Anyway,
Yeah,
but yes, let's talk
it
about Deborah Monk or whatever
every
her
single
character's name is.
relationship dynamic in this film is fantastic, but the one that I wanted to just give, like, a huge shout out to is that Jane Fonda, Hillary, and her neighbor, Linda, played by Deborah Monk, um,
Mhm,
over the course of so Linda's husband passed away, quite a long time ago. Obviously, Hillary's husband has just passed away, and he kind of had a fairly long illness. And so these two
mhm,
older women, they're in their 70s or something, and they have been neighbors for probably, 40 years, something like that. And Linda has been helping Hillary a lot with the death of her, the kind of long illness of her husband. And the two of them
mhm.
find a like late in life sapphic connection, and they are a couple, and it's fucking adorable, and it's so cute and so sweet. And the best part of it is that I think the best part of it is that, of course, like, the boys are all fighting on the lawn, right? They're causing chaos, and
Mhm.
no one
Oh yeah,
no one
because Paul saw Judd and Annie hanging out together, and he's like, "You sleeping with my wife?" He
and
just goes
fucking
fucking
loses it.
crazy.
And
Yeah, tries to beat the shit out of. Oh yeah,
it's
there's a
when
great
you get
moment. Watch
watch
the
the
movie;
movie.
it's great.
But as her, like, ultimate trump card to split up the fight, Hillary just goes over to Linda and starts, like, making
Makes out
out
with
with
her.
her, and everybody stops, and then it cuts to Hori, and he's like, "Oh, did you guys not know about that?" And I'm just like, "Hori, I love you. You're the best. You're so sweet." But yeah, it's just this, like, really adorable, like, "Hey, like, we didn't expect this to happen, and and, like, of course your father knew about this, like, he was a very open-minded man sexually," and everybody's like, "Da, da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da."
Hillary can't help talking about
Can't help
her
talking it
sexual exploits with her husband.
can't help talking about it. But yeah, it's another really sweet, type of relationship, that is like,
Mhm.
older people that have found somebody that makes them happy, that they are in love with, that they wanna, that they've also have a history. Yeah, there's just a
Yeah,
a wide variety of relationship dynamics shown, and I really like it,
yeah,
and I think it's really
yeah,
sweet.
and you yeah, and you know what? To round out this section, because I would want to talk more about uh, I would want to talk more about Philip and Tracy, his older
Oh,
therapist thing, but I think I will sum it up in the
oh my
way
god,
that
please,
she leaves the scene in the movie, because
please.
while this fight in the lawn is happening and Hillary is getting with whatever, Tracy is on the way out because she realizes that Philip has slept with some younger girl and he can't help himself. Like, he does love her,
Yeah,
but he's like can't help his whatever, his sexual impulses. So she's leaving, realizes that she's gotten herself in trouble. She's a professional therapist woman and fell for this young guy and fell for the trap and was like, okay, like, so she's on her way out. Her bags are packed. They've had the discussion. Paul, oldest brother, has Philip on the
they are
ground in like a
fighting, like,
headlock.
fist fighting on the
They're
lawn.
fighting.
as
And
Philip is
this
chasing
particular,
Tracy, being like, "We're not done
yeah,
yet."
to which
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm an adult," which is hilarious. But as she's leaving, this exchange pretty much says everything you need to know about their relationship, and it's just a great line, and it was maybe the biggest laugh I got during the whole movie, where she's walking out and she says, "You're a narcissist with Oedipal issues. I'm a classic enabler." And then Adam Driver says, "But I love you."
As
I
he was
don't know. That
wrestling his
made me
brother
laugh.
on the ground.
Uh,
Like, no, dude.
it's just made me laugh so hard. It's like, yeah, that's what a narcissist with Oedipal issues would say to keep you around. It's like, you don't even know what's wrong here, do you, buddy?
No,
You haven't even clocked the
not
problem.
even
So I
close.
thought that was great.
Not even close. Let's wrap up this party, shall we, with a
Tambok na siksi. Tambok, 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 tambok na siksi.
vibe check. We're gonna round it out with a vibe check. Uh Fun
Vibe
fact.
check.
So for those of you who may be listening for the first time, thank you so much for joining. Evan and I do not rate rate movies on a star system or a number system. We rate films
No, we don't.
on two things and two things only, which are how
Just two things.
how is the story and how are the
Story.
vibes.
The vibes.
The vibes. The vibes.
The vibes. The vibes. The vibes.
Yeah.
Mare, what'd you think about the vibes and the story of this flick? How's it rate on the vibe check?
It's funny because I think that I don't know if this is I feel like this
This is not the epitome of a
yeah,
vibing
this is
movie,
not the
right? Like, this
epitome of a
isn't
vibe movie, but I like the vibe a lot. Whatever the vibe is, I
totally.
really enjoyed it. And I think the story
Mhm.
um is very poignant and very well told and very engaging and entertaining.
Yeah.
Not
To me,
I would 1 second. I would say that the people that have reviewed this on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes do not share that opinion because this film is like universally hated. Um, yeah,
really,
it has
on
like
well, IMDb is a bad rubric
it
of
has
good
it
movies
has like
because Philistines and plebes rate things on IMDb.
I know, but yeah,
But that's its
it,
power.
it
That's its
has
power.
like it's like not above like much above like a 40% on like 30% on most things, and I'm like, man, I think it's better than that. I really do. I really
Hmm.
think it's better.
Strange.
But anyway, um,
Yeah, it's not like my favorite movie ever, but like it's good, you
it's
know.
really good, and it's one that like I'm probably gonna watch again, like, and enjoy
Right.
every time I watch it because I do think it's an enjoyable film, and I really like the sibling dynamics. I like what it says about families. I think it's really good.
Yes, not to be morbid, but it seems like another good movie to, revisit whenever, an older family member
Yep.
passes as a reminder of what makes family important to
Yes.
connect over.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, yeah, I feel like a quintessentially vibey movie is like very about, there's a distinct lack of like talking in quintessentially vibey movies. Like
Mm.
vibey movies are, I mean, and I'm talking about like we've kind of gotten into the
Oh, that's
weeds about like
interesting.
what is a vibe and how are different vibes. But when you think of like that movie is a vibe, like just the saying, I
Mm.
think of things like Dune Part 1, where, like, I
Yeah.
get it. There's a lot of talking in that, but it's all
Fucking
about kind of like
happen.
the combination of dreamy imagery and sound to create this sort of,
Mhm.
atmosphere or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
So to me, that sort of makes what a quintessentially vibey movie is. And there's like just too much talking in this movie
Straight
for
up.
it to be that kind of movie,
Yes.
but that's not what it's trying to be. So like, yeah, it's not a vibey film in that way, in the way that like an experimental art movie is
No, but
vibey,
it has a
but
certain
it's a solid,
realism vibe, I would say. The vibe is
yeah,
realism, and if you're going off the metric of the vibe is realism, then I think the vibe is really great. They did a good job.
yeah. I think this is one of the better. What's the word for the genre that I'm thinking of? It's like feel good relationship dramedy type of thing.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't know,
family.
like if you've ever watched on TV, if you've watched TV shows like This Is Us
Yeah.
or A Million Little Things, like things about the dynamics of a large group of
Mm,
people, friends, or a family, that's kind of like there are funny characters doing realistically funny and quippy things, but it is infused with the drama of real life
yeah,
and usually centered around the loss of a person.
yeah.
Like this feels like one of the prototypical like mid 2010
Mhm.
like uh this type of movie had been sort of building through the indie genre through movies like Garden State and stuff like
Yeah, and
that
the Royal
and Wes
Tenenbaums.
Anderson-y kind of
Yeah.
things. But uh the trend of comedies moving towards the dramedy space, I feel like this is one of those
Mhm.
earlier kind of like examples of that where they really nailed what the formula
Mhm.
was of something like that. And yeah, they do a really, it's one of the first and best of that particular sort of very emotion heavy kind of
Yeah.
dramedy things. And it's just a great thing about, it's just a great story about family dynamics. I love that vibe. And I had the thought that like, you know, in a story, like two things that are really important are obviously conflict and also
And this
relationships.
has both
And
of those in spades.
exactly. It occurred to me that the conflict is the sort of stuff that draws you in because, in a way, it's like the spectacle
Mhm.
of just drama.
Yeah.
But then the relationships are the things that keep you watching a movie because you want
Yes.
to see characters work it out. You want catharsis. You want people to either, you know, you want those relationships to develop and grow. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this movie does a
I think
great
it's
job
very
of putting those elements
yeah,
together.
and then I agree, and also because this season's theme is siblings, we also are giving things a sibling scale 1 to 10.
Yeah,
I think I'm giving this one like a 9 to 9.5, only because
totally.
only because
Yeah. Okay.
I wish that the oldest brother, was a little bit
Hmm.
more present and a little bit more fleshed out as a character.
Totally.
Um,
It is funny. They did the same thing in Succession, where the
yeah,
oldest brother is kind of shortchanged, where you're just sort of, which is kind of great because he's just sort of on his own,
I
being
know.
a responsible well, not in Succession. In Succession, he's a total
He's
fuck
a
up and
total
is
fuck up, yeah,
essentially like the youngest child,
yeah,
actually. But but yeah, it is funny. Like the oldest sibling doesn't have much to contribute because they are the quote responsible one
yeah.
and doing all the right things, which is inherently
It
uninteresting.
is, it's, like, not interesting, but, yeah, I would say 9, 9.5, only because I wish that we had gotten to see a little bit more of Paul interacting with his siblings, but sibling skill overall, this movie is great. Um, it shows
I agree. Yes, I also give it a 9 out of 10. Great job putting all the pieces
yeah,
together. It's a great, like we said earlier, it's a great Venn diagram of all these different like relationship dynamics within a family. So good
good
stuff.
stuff, and,
Um
yeah, yeah, I this is also a great movie. One of the things I love about it, especially in the sibling scale of things, is, it just goes to show you that, like, sneaking out of your mom's house with your sibling is never not fun. I don't care how old you are. It's always the
that's right.
most funny.
It's always a good time.
Escaping your
Yeah.
mom to, like, get drunk or high with your sibling is always the most fun you can have at a sibling function. Even if you're all adults and have,
Yeah.
like, free will and can do whatever you want, it's always the most fun. So, yeah, great job.
Yeah. We got 3 minutes to do an outro before we
Okay,
get kicked out of the room,
ready,
so let's
steady.
wrap this up.
Find us on all of the social media things at Brother Sibling Movie. That's YouTube and Instagram. We are now on Apple Podcasts. I finally figured it out. You can listen to us on Apple and Spotify. Rate and review
Woo!
us.
You can see
It's
us on
important. You can also email us, brothersiblingmovie@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at Law and Daddy Lives Here. Um, and Evan, where can people find you online?
the good people can find me on all the socials as Art of Evan K. That's Instagram, Facebook, even maybe. Find me on my portfolio website as artofevank.com. Check me out on Letterboxd, Evan Kerna, Koehne, for more fun one line reviews of movies and stuff like that.
I love it. All right. Well, I will leave you with this. line from the film, or the sentiment from the movie This Is Where I Leave You, which is go watch a movie with your sibling.
Go watch a movie with your sibling or siblings, all of them. If you got more
Or
than one,
multiple.
that's great. Go see a movie
That's
with all of them.
Yeah, just have a real day of it. Have a real like Mormon day out with your 12 siblings.
Maybe it's Christmas and you're trying to get something. Go watch one of those dumb Christmas movies in a theater. It'll be great for you guys. Some
That'll
bonding
be great
time.
for you guys. I am just gonna say, Evan, that I am very happy. We do have an older brother who is a lot of years older than both of us.
Indeed.
But I will just say I am very happy that you and I grew up as the only two siblings in a household. I think things would have gotten really off the rails really quickly if we had had four children in the house. Not to mention our mother's sanity would have been even more
She
frayed than it already
she
was.
she already has so little patience for two of us when we're interacting with each other. So I can only imagine what four
Oh my
would be
god.
like. It would be too much.
Yeah. To be fair, she could have had her own like comedy troupe touring the country, but
This is
what are you
true.
gonna
Yeah,
do?
she could have Jackson 5'd us. It would have
She could
been
have.
great.
She really could have.
Missed the
All
boat,
right,
Marta.
Marta. Come on. All right. Well, I love you very much.
I love you very
Can't
much
wait
too.
to talk to you next week about